Good day, my name is Calvin, and I was tasked to explain the political self and define how political self affects the understanding of self. The first thing that I need to explain is I would like to define what is politics and what is self. So, politics is the way that people living in a groups make a decision, while self is your sense of who you are, deep down your identity. So this defining those two words, politics and self, helps a lot for us to define or understand more what is political self. So right now I'm going to explain to you what is political self. Political self is a result of various personal and environmental factors that impact the individual. And according to the origin of political self, it has something to do with the government because political self includes decision making concerning some issues that we're facing in our country or the society. And how this political self affects in understanding ourselves. There are following factors that affects in understanding the political self, such as education, gender, age, and family. And those are the factors that affects in understanding the political self. But the main factor that's has the impact that affects really the understanding of political self is our family, because our family, to think of our family is the first teacher. They're the one who teaches us the first lesson in life. This is why it is hard for us to make a decision right away regarding the political issue that we're facing. So we tend to we tend to ask them first about their feedback regarding that issue before we can create a conclusion and make it on public. So in this political self, it has more it is really regarding about political issue or how are you going to react to different issue that we're facing in our country. That is why it has the self there has a great role and impact. That is why we need also to differentiate the effects of joining of understanding the political self. That is why in this discussion we need to learn how to react to different issue that we're facing, and also for us to determine um, the best way to resolve our concern or that issue.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Lomar James Alalim, and I will discuss what values that makes us different from other cultures and what are some negative values that we have as Filipinos. So, understanding the self is difficult and crucial. Why? Because we have a lot of factors to consider before you can come up with your own understanding of self. I know it's not easy to express and share your knowledge to others. There are people who are good in talking while others cannot, and vice versa. Therefore, we say that as humans, we have our own dominant traits that makes us different from one another. So that the idea of political self is trying to differentiate. Political self is trying to understand your strength and weaknesses, what makes you good at compared to others, and what makes you different from others. So we Filipinos have a lot of unique cultures among other cultures. We have Filipino as one of the most hospitable people, close family ties, bayanihan, courtship, religion, superstition, and one of the most common Filipino values, which is manopo, where children and teenagers customarily greet or say goodbye to their elders by taking the elder's right hand in theirs and gently putting the back of the elder's palm on their forehead. It is a way of honoring the elders, and I believe that it is also a way of gaining their blessings. All I know is that as individuals and as Filipino living in the Philippines, we are different and unique. What distinguishes us from other Asians is our culture, heritage, values, and most importantly, the way of our family is raised. Filipino are distinct in the way they conduct themselves. They are assured and gorgeous. Where it comes to their ideas and values, Filipino have a deep faith. Many Filipino women are charming and loving, which distinguishes Filipino from other people. A Filipino people could adapt quickly and have a strong desire to achieve their goals. So now I'll be discussing on what are some negative values that we have as Filipinos. So what do you think about these values? I don't think that they are really values, but more of the negative characteristics. First, we have Filipino time. This is a Filipino characteristic wherein you invite someone, he or she may be late, sometimes 1 hour or 2 hours, and that's Filipino time. It's because most of the time we experience a lot of delays here in the Philippines. For example, I'm queuing in line or waiting for the train or bus. Those are some things that may influence Filipino time. Other than that, we also have what we call crab mentality, or when someone is at the top, we have the tendency to pull him down. For example, if someone is winning in a contest, then you're going to see some envious people that's saying he or she is not really that good at that, and that's crab mentality. And other than that, we also have colonial mentality, or believing that anything that came from the Spaniards, Americans are better than the Filipinos. So that the colonial mentality is a preference for something that did not come from our own culture. So these are characteristics that describes a Filipino. But the criticism about this is that from the perspective of psychology and Filipino, they're saying that although these characteristics describe the Filipino, they don't think it's accurate because these are English words. In order for us to describe a Filipino accurately, we need to use the Filipino language and not these English words. And they also think that this is because of the colonial influence, and it is also because these descriptions does not really came from the Filipino, but rather these are the description that came from outsiders. And in order for us to understand the real characteristics of a Filipino, we should use Filipino words.
Hi, by the way, this is Donde Catalogo, one of the members of Group 5. So, right now I'm going to discuss to you on what will be the origins of political self. So, by the way, political self is a result of various and personal and environmental factors that that impact individuals. So, the participation of the youth in political discourse and social activities can result in cultural and political paradigm shifts that may felt even by our future generation. So, if we're going to get deeper and understand for what is the political self, so meaning it has to do something with our governments and how they will able to come up with the possible actions in order for us individual will cooperate and unite by simply implementing constitutions, rules and regulations, as well as laws, not only for us to be to be disciplined, but to make changes to our society. So, what would be the best example for this is the one that was being implemented by our beloved President Duterte. I mean Duterte, which we call the anti-drug campaign. I know this campaign is already familiar to us on what it is all about. So this is what we called or known as Oplan Tukhang. So for me, this campaign greatly helps us to our society since it helps our country with less crimes committed, and also it purge those illegal drugs to our country. So For me, I can really say that political self is very analytical in our politics, and I can say that politics is everything that is being happening around us, and it will be a big part of developing ourselves and improving the society that we live in. So for me, political self begins when we started to learn about constitutions, government, and governance, and it familiarized us or ourselves to the social and economic context profoundly affect our mental health and well-being. So on my own experience way back high school, I guess, because I've been part also to a class officer during Sunday session, as well as in our current state right now, especially to our subject which we call the ROTC. So for me, these two things help me or greatly help me to grow my political knowledge, as well as it helped me or myself to develop in the political self as well, by the way of learning those or by the learning those sessions, as well as by applying it into the real life state. So that's all. Thank you. Okay, so the next topic we're going to discuss is what we call the Filipino values and traits. So I can really say that when it comes to this identity, we Filipino is the best. So yeah, we're going to discuss the first one, which we call the family orientation. So by the way, family orientation. So we Filipino have the family an individual that is born to grow up with strong relationship and core values with our parents, and also in a state of mind informed by our value system, which serve as a guide for constructing our life around our family. Next is the joy and humor. So we Filipino is the one who practice this, wherein we could still able to make jokes or humor even we're already in the face of difficultness or challenging situation. And next is the flexibility, adaptability, and creativity. So, meaning we Filipinos have a great capacity to adjust and to adapt to circumstances, the surroundings in the environment, both physical and social. And the next will be the religious adherence. So, we can't really deny the fact that Filipinos are truly religious, as truly religious. And as Christians, it adhere as to cultural values that influence the way which they perceive and interact with society. So the next is the ability to survive. So we Filipino have ability to survive, which is manifested our capacity for endurance despite of difficult times in our ability to get so on very little. And next is the hard work and industriousness. So we Filipinos have the capacity to work hard given proper conditions and the desire to raise one's standard of living and to possess the essential of a decent life for one's family, combined with the right opportunities and incentives, which make Filipino work very hard. And the last will be the hospitable. I know this is already our nature that we are so hospitable in the sense that we get out on our way on how we treat other people. That's so special. Or some says that it is about a certain charisma which makes us people around us uh, feel comfortable. Like the tourists, we treat them very special when they enter into our country. So that's it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and so let's talk about the political self and identity. The political self in defining the structure and function of the government, entailing and understand the relationship between the state and the citizens, and describing their rights, freedom, and obligation as citizens. An example, whether you like or not, we are already involved in the political public sphere, and because of this we had to be able to understand our relationship with the state, read the government, because it is the state, it is a government that describes our rights, that gives our freedom and tells us our obligation as citizens. Kung sa Bisaya man kay kung gusto nimo or dili okay nga appeal ka sa political public sphere or tungod ni aning kinahanglan ni sila nga mahibal-an ang mga relasyon sa mga estado nga gibasa sa mga gobyerno. So citizenship becomes a salient basis for a political self. Example, you become a citizen because at first maybe you're not choosing to become a Filipino citizen. You are Filipino citizen by default because you are born in the Philippines of Filipino parents, but they can change. You may be a natural born Filipino, or you may be born in the Philippines of Filipino parents, but once you elect citizenship, you're free to do that way, because if you believe that you cannot align your values, your beliefs, your principles. Sa example ani sa citizenship kay kung ikaw nahimo niya usa ka lungsuran, tungod sa una tingali wa kagipili nga nahimong usa ka lungsuran sa Pilipino, so ikaw usa ka Pilipino, lungsaron ka pinaagi sa default tungod kay natawo ka sa Pilipinas sa mga ginikanan nga Filipino, or mga apan mahimo ka na magbago or mahimo ka usa natural nga natawan nga Filipino. And that's all.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to discuss kapwa. Defining the Filipino core values. The Filipino values refers to the set of values that a majority of Filipino have historically held important in their lives. Kapwa is a recognition of shared identity and inner self shared with others. This Filipino linguistic unity, the other is unique and unlike the most modern language. Why? Because implied in such inclusiveness in the moral obligation to treat one another as equal fellow human beings. If we can do this, even starting in our own family, our cycle of friends, we are on the way to practice peace. We are kapwa people. Pakikipagkapwa. It means connecting myself with other, feeling myself and the other, and having a sense of shared identity and shared inner self. That having a common human identity, community, and destiny lies deep in our physique. Its translation in our particularly cultured and story of universal truth that tell us to treat other the way we ourselves want to be treated, because our innermost core we have a shared humanity. So, ibang tao, basically a strange that relatives that not so close, because
basically that first day of school, you you feel that a lot of ibang tao that not one of us. Hindi tao, it's translated to one of us. Who is considered a ibang tao? Family members, also close friends. Basically, according to Dr. Enriquez, our level of pakikipagkapwa is differ. Definition of clarification. And that's all. Thank you.
I am Joan Mario V. Perez, and I'm going to report about the democracy and citizenship in political self. So first things first, before we start, we need to know what are the key words about my topic or about my title. So my title is the democracy and citizenship in political self. So the key words are democracy, citizenship, and political self. So first is democracy. So what is democracy? So the simplest explanation about the democracy is that the form of government in which political control is exercised by all the people, so either directly or through their elected representatives. The word democracy itself means rule by the people, or the term democracy refers to the government by the people. The term refers to various forms of government in which citizens can participate in decisions that affect how their community is run. This is what is known as representative democracy. So next is citizenship. So what is citizenship? The example would be if someone has the rights or the state of being vested with the rights, privileges, and duties of a citizen. The character of an individual viewed as a member of society. Behavior of a citizen is awarded for a good citizenship. So basically, if we talk about citizenship, you do the responsibilities as a citizen in your respective places, and you'd be awarded with a good citizenship. So next is political self. So what is political self? Political self is a political approach wherein people of a particular gender, religion, race, or social background, class, or other identifying factors develop political agendas that are based upon the theoretical interacting systems of oppression that may affect their lives and come from their various identities. So basically, it's difficult to discuss people, power, and politics without also mentioning what I've mentioned earlier is citizenship and democracy. So it's very difficult to discuss people without including or without mentioning the citizenship and democracy.
Hello everyone, I'm Christopher De Venencia, and I'm about to discuss the impact of religion to spirituality in political self. At first, let's have a brief explanation about religion and spirituality. Religion is a set of organized beliefs, practices, and systems that most often relate to belief and worship of a controlling force such as a personal god or another supernatural being. Religion often involves cultural beliefs, worldviews, texts, prophecies, revelations, and morals that have spiritual meaning to members of the particular faith. And it can encompass a range of practices including sermons, rituals, prayer, meditation, holy places, symbols, trances, and feasts. And then, let's talk about spirituality. When you say spirituality, it involves the recognition of a feeling or sense or belief that there is something greater than myself, something more to being human than sensory experience, and that the greater whole of which we are a part is cosmic or divine in nature. Spirituality means knowing that our lives have significance in a context beyond a mundane everyday existence, at the level of biological needs that drive selfishness and aggression. It means knowing that we are a significant part of a purposeful unfolding of life in our universe. And now let's talk about the impact of religion to spirituality and political self. Religion can serve a wide range of purposes. Religion can be a source of comfort and guidance. It can provide a basis for moral beliefs and behaviors. It can also provide a sense of community and connection to tradition. You may feel a higher sense of purpose, peace, hope, and meaning. You may experience better confidence, self-esteem, and self-control. It can help you make sense of your experiences in life. When unwell, it can help you feel inner strength and result in faster recovery. Religion formalizes certain aspects of spiritual awareness into a coherent belief system that can be taken on trust, even if the person has no direct experience of the divine. For instance, a person might believe that Jesus is the Son of God because that is what the Bible teaches, whereas another person may have had a vision of Jesus in person telling him or her that he is the Son of God. Direct experience of truth as opposed to intellectual knowledge is considered key in mystical experience. The belief system of religion extends beyond the individual's experience to his or her role in society, and morality-based rules are formulated to govern relationships and activities. Usually, religion is manifest as a collective true church, mosque, or temple, and is involved with community as much as with individuals. This provides a real framework through which the greater than me can start to be experienced. But how do we develop our spirituality? The development of spirituality is generally recognized as requiring some sort of practice or discipline in order to make progress, such as non-striving, the gateless gate, or coming home to oneself. Contemplative practices such as prayer and meditation are the common denominator of many religions and the foundation of spirituality. Without them, personal growth is much slower and haphazard. A teacher or mentor is usually recommended. And that is all. Thank you.